Hello again, I am Jim Bob. Welcome back to Big Bird Farm. And it is harvest time today, and it's all about the beets. We have a field of beets that needs to be done. We've got 3 hours to harvest, collect, and deliver before our great demand runs out. And as you can see, things have changed here at Beet Central. The Mountain Halls package that I spent all that time lovingly positioning and placing, they've all gone, as has the smaller shed there as well, replaced with this, the multi-purpose hall. I spent quite a bit of time talking about this thing on Wednesday, and sorry, on Tuesday, on American Outback, and here it is. Absolutely love this. This is perhaps my favourite storage mod of all of the buildings that have gone live, of all the placeables. This is the interior. I love the fact that we have a solid concrete floor in here and it's not the dirt showing through. That's really, really nice. Just turn the lights on. We have individual shutters which you can only be opened from the inside, that roll up into the ceiling, and you can hear the correct sound effect for those rolling up and down as well, which is another great touch. And here, as you can see, is our our Terra DOS. There's our 12-row header for it, and you can also see that I have been busy with some contract work, and I've bought a Terra Felis as well, so that we can actually pick up our beets and store them on the pick them up off the ground. Absolutely love this thing, but very rarely ever get to use it, and you never see anybody use this thing, online either. So I thought it would be a great thing to actually just bring to the channel. So let's get everything kind of up and open and ready. We go through here. This is where I've got my Terra DOS. Sorry, my Terra Variant. I keep getting those two mixed up. This is my Terra Variant, and there's our two tanks there. We've got the beet tank just here on the right, and then a grain tank here on the left. This is a small auger, 26,000 litres. This is basically going to be my seed delivery point. So if I'm harvesting or planting on a field and the seed tank runs out, I can put some seed in the back of this, deliver it to the seeder, and then use that as a way to top up my seeders rather than having to do it by taking the seeder all the way back to the farm. So you may notice as well things look a little bit bigger. I've changed my field of view as an experiment from 55 degrees down to 50 degrees. It suits me a little bit further forward in the cab, so it makes some things look a bit closer and a bit bigger, and it also changes my seating position ever so slightly, so I'm a lot closer to the steering wheel. Judge that a little bit wrong. There we go. See if I can swing out here without clipping the walls. There we go. So I'm going to use this to pick up the header. Have to do it this way. The downside to reducing my camera angle down to 50 degrees from 55 is it makes the field, the draw field, that circular circular area for my draw distance, it does reduce that slightly. So a little bit of a downside to sitting a little bit closer to stuff. Let's just close that door, turn that light off. That positioning is actually slightly unfortunate in that you turn the light on and open the door or close the door at the same time. But apart from that, I've got absolutely no problems with this thing at all. I absolutely adore this mod. Close that shutter there. Let's jump in, pull this thing out. And we'll just drop the shutter here as well. So let's go take our header over, drop that in place. And our fields are really, really close. We don't need to use like a trailer to deliver our vehicles because they're right around the corner from where they're going to be working. They're either going to be working here on field 3 or on field 5. Probably more likely on field 5. It's just I didn't fancy working on field 3 with barley and generating another 200 bales worth of straw. it would take an eternity collect. So that's why we're just doing beats on field 3 this time. But going forward, we'll almost certainly just be doing beats on field 5 only. That's the header dropped off. Let's move this over here so we can get ready to start unloading. Oh, there's one other thing I need to do actually, which I forgot to do. I need to put in a workshop of some kind down there at Beat Central, so that I can change the wheel configuration on my Terra variant here. We're going to be running with dual care wheels, so that we can actually drive over our crop with the auger and not damage it. If we drive over with our wheels configured like this, we're just going to absolutely wreck those beets. And that's the last thing I want to do. So we're going to put care wheels on this thing so that we can actually harvest and unload at the same time without any issues and any risks of damaging our crop. Because we've got a lot of crop to harvest, and it's too much for our harvester to manage on a single pass. Not by much, but enough that you know, while I could empty it on one side, when it turns around and goes back down again, it would stop and would want to unload into the crop. Now that would obviously normally be a problem, but with our Terra variant having the option of care wheels, I can get around that. So I have my brain isn't working today. I have my voucher blocking the way at my little workshop area, so I'm going to use this toolbox over here, which I keep here for the Big Bud, so I can change its wheel configuration. There we go. Let's switch, put on narrow twin wheels, and it really does change the look of this vehicle quite substantially when you put these twin care wheels on. The wheels themselves are a little bit smaller in terms of size, overall size. It drops the height of the vehicle ever so slightly, and as you can see, you know, you have this big drum that is now split with dual care wheels as opposed to very large fat tyres. Looks very, very spindly. So here we are in the Terrados. Just bringing it onto the field. You can see we've got our auger system set back up there. We're going to connect up to our header, get our worker off and running with the harvester, and we're going to be chasing in the Terra variant. And we're going to be building a beet pile, which will then use the the Terra Felis. Oh, I'm getting all these names mixed up. We'll use the Terra Felis to deal with all of these beets that we harvest once we're finished. It's a piece of equipment that rarely you ever see on anyone's Let's Plays, so I thought it'd be quite nice to actually bring that thing out and use it the way it's supposed to be used. So there we go, there's our worker off and harvesting. And it's amazing how quickly that thing fills up. Even with 45,000 litres, it does fill up incredibly quickly. Let's just open up our auger tank. And let's see if we can get alongside at the right height and angle. Driving. It feels a little bit weird actually trying to get lined up. I'm having to do it like this just because I'm really not sure the positioning. Every time you change your camera setting ever so slightly, and we've got some light blur, or light glare on the screen there, which is a little bit distracting. But every time you kind of change where your camera sits in your field of depth, your field of view, it does get a little disorientating the first time or two that you do it. So I'm just kind of having to watch my position in relation to the wheel and the header. See if I'm drifting. I'm moving, as you can see, just a fraction faster. Our little speed readout there says we're moving at 7.5. It says 7.5 kilometers. It's actually 7.5 miles an hour. So that's a little, error there. But I absolutely love this thing. It's just a shame we don't have an in-cab display that tells us our current capacity. Oh, you can see we're not collecting, so we have drifted just a touch too far away. Yeah, I'd like to see a little bit more interactivity inside the cabs for Farming Sim 19. So obviously we have the speedo and we have fuel gauges, and on a couple of vehicles we do have sort of light interactions. You can see which lights are switched on based on a light on the dashboard lighting up or something like that. But we've got these wonderful little sort of screens here, and it'd be great if we could actually see our full tank information popping up on one of these as well. Unfortunately, that doesn't do that. But who knows? Maybe in the future we'll see something like that. So there's our other worker there. And of course, changing our camera position the way we have done means as we sit further forward, these side views change as well. As we sit further forward, these barriers on the windows that kind of frame our cab, they change position because your camera pans to a different spot. So you can see that these are a little bit further to the side now. We've got a clearer side view looking out the side windows. It's not the same on all vehicles. Obviously, each vehicle has a different size cab and a different layout and a different window configuration. So you will get varying results from vehicle to vehicle, and you can see as well that you can barely see these frames here. If we position the camera straight forward, you can't see them really at all until the very, very tops, because we're sitting that much closer to the windscreen. It also means it's much harder to actually see anything beyond the very top of the wheel. You have to really pan down and take your eyes off the road to do that. But it does, I think, give you a slightly different perspective that's definitely worth playing around with. I do highly encourage people to play around with their field of view. You can't do it in-game. You have to kind of quit out of the game that you're playing, and then go to your main settings page on the game's menu. And then once you've changed your settings, then you can reload your game and play with the new settings. And if you don't like them and you want to change, just make sure you save your game before you do quit and then change those settings. Obviously, that way you won't lose any progress that you've made. But what we're going to do now is we are going to unload our beats into this patch on the side of the field here. So, going to get lined up. And we're just going to basically dump our beats along here. And then we'll be collecting these with the Terra Felis at the end. Had to pause there to make sure I was getting the right one. We'll just be driving our Felis along and scooping all of these beats up into a delivery truck to take straight to the sell point at Valley Grains. And as you can see, because we've got those care wheels, we're not damaging our crop, which is very, very important, although we are tipping a little bit close to it. Slightly worrying there. That's a bit better. Hopefully we won't lose any crop there. And there we go, we're fully unloaded. So let's pipe back in. Let's go and collect from our harvester again. We're going to fill up so quickly doing this. Our auger here holds 35,000. The harvester itself holds 45,000. So we'll never completely empty the harvester. It's always going to be that, have that extra capacity on us. But the unload speed is phenomenal. It's so fast. You'll unload a combine and it can take quite a while to unload a full tank. This thing unloads so fast. It's almost ridiculous how fast it unloads. Just watch how quickly we fill up to 35,000 litres here. I mean, look how fast this is. We're at 10,000 litres already. Now 15. Now 20. 25. It's just so quick. Look at that, we're almost completely full already, 32,500. So yeah, really fast unload, and now we just got to get that last little bit, which shouldn't take very long at all. One more little spurt. There we go, 35,000. This thing unloads just so fast, into our auger. It's a breath of fresh air, really. Considering how long it takes other vehicles to unload, this thing is just so quick. So same again, we're going to unload onto this pile. Try and build it up a bit. I'm just a little worried that we may have gone a little too close to the crop there. Hopefully we're not going to eat up that little strip of crop. We'll find out in a moment, I suppose. You see the harvester is making its way over. It's only really going to be this this pass here that's going to potentially cause the issue. Once we get clear, it'll be a while before this thing gets anywhere near sort of the width. I don't think it'll ever get close to our combine again. I call it a combine. Obviously, it's not really a combine technically. It's just a harvester, but you know what I mean. So hopefully we're not losing any of that crop on the side. Although we may have. We'll find out in a moment. As I say, this thing's going to turn around. We're going to follow it back up the field again and unload. And as we do that, we'll drive past that area that was sort of encroaching a little bit onto our beets that were waiting to be harvested, and that way we'll see whether or not we've actually eaten up part of that crop. It may not even have eaten it. It may have actually added it. It's possible it may even have added it back into the beet tank. You never know. Somehow I doubt it. But you have to drive so close to this thing as well. And it's quite easy to get a little bit too close and cause a collision, especially when you're using this modded header that I'm using here, the 12-row header. The base game version of the header is a 9-row header. This is a 12-row header. You need the HR12 rotor pack for that. It's a really great little addition to be able to harvest wider. And yeah, it does look like we have eaten those beets. That's a shame, but it wasn't too many, so we can kind of get away with it. It's just a shame we've lost a little bit of crop, but it's not the end of the world. But yeah, this is a 12-row header. The standard in-game header for this harvester is a 9-row header, so we get that extra working width. Normally the header itself is the same width as the harvester. You can see this one is just that little bit wider on both sides. It means we can harvest that little bit more, which is good. There is also the a 6-row header, which actually allows us to harvest at 11 miles an hour. So while these ones will harvest at 7, it's actually quicker. It is actually quicker, at least on contract work, to use a 6-row header over a 12-row header, I think. Depending on the size of the field. If it's a field where you're working across and it's quite a short, fat field, then it's not necessarily beneficial. But on a field like these fields where they're quite long, then it's of more benefit to actually use the 6-row header, because you're driving in a straight line for so long that if you can go faster, that's going to work out for you. So I think it works out slightly faster to actually harvest the field using the 6-row header than it does the 9-row header. Possibly even the 12-row header as well. That extra speed definitely counts. Right, so a lot of this field's still to go, as you can see. This pile needs to get a lot bigger. And we are just over halfway through the episode already. So I'm going to start jumping ahead and continuing the harvest, and then I'll pop back in at various times as we make progress through the field. You'll see the beet pile get bigger. And then at the end, we'll obviously collect everything up with the Felis and then take it to the sell point. So I will see you in just a moment. Well, we are about an hour into the job, and as you can see, we're approaching the halfway point of the field. Not quite there, but not far off. Our beet pile, as you can see, is getting quite big, although we're actually getting out of that draw distance. We'll see it's a little got a little bit too close to the head of that. It's a little further away than normal, having changed that camera position, so our draw distance is not quite as big as it was. But yeah, plenty of work still to do. You know, probably another hour or so of harvesting before all these beets will be collected, and then from there on we'll be getting out the Terra Felis, scooping them all up into a trailer, and then taking them to Valley Grains, which is, as you can see, the sell point below the shop. So a little bit of work still to go. About 2/3 of the way through the field now. You can see just how big our beet pile is getting. There's an awful lot of beets here. I haven't really paid much attention to how many trips I've been making, so I have no idea what the actual final tally is starting to look like. But it's a lot, as you can see. Just look at the size of this pile here. That's a lot of beets. And we've still got about 1/3 of the field to go as well. So, yeah, awful lot of beets that we're going to have to sell here. Going to raise quite a nice amount of money, I think, by the look of it. Got a little under an hour and a half before the demand finishes. You can still see the icon flashing away on the mini-map there. And that's where we are on the field. So, as I say, around 2/3 of the field is already done. Into that final sort of section now. So hopefully not too much longer, and then we can start breaking out the Terra Felis and start loading onto trucks and selling. We're on the final cut, as you can see. Just this last little strip. And then our harvesting will be done. We've got about 45 minutes to get everything loaded and sold. So we should be able to get it all done in that time limit. Just this last little piece of the field to go. Got a really big pile of beets over there now, as you've probably seen from the little cutaways that I've been doing. It's getting Getting very big. I'm getting quite excited, actually. A, to use the Felis, and B, to find out just how many beats we're going to end up with. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be an awful lot. I mean, every single one of these auger loads has been 35,000, or just a fraction under if I've got to the end of a row, and it's been practically full. So there's, as I say, an awful lot of beats. Just got that tiny little bit along the end here as well, so we'll do that as well. There you can see the pile's getting quite wide now. Just dump this section in just here. Big old beat pile here. There we go. So it's time to grab the truck, grab the Felis, and get on with our sail. So let's park this up just here. Fold everything up. Lights off. Engine off. I need the truck. That's the pickup. There it is. So let's detach from the trailer. I need the dolly. There we go. So let's get our trailers connected together. I did actually seriously contemplate buying a third trailer, but I think 2 is probably enough. Although we do have the power for 3. We'll see how many trips it takes with these beats. I may well end up getting a third, you know, for future use. But for this this particular sail, we're going to stick to just 2. So we're going to need to park this up on the edge of the field by the beats. I'm going to cut in just after these trees. Here we go. Should, I think, be close enough, I hope. Right, now we need the Terra Felis. I've been looking forward to this bit. So, we need to obviously open it up. I'm wondering if I can actually get through. Just, there we go. And off we go. This thing is such an amazing piece of machinery. I absolutely love it. But as I say, it's just one of those things in game that you never see get used. And I really wanted to take advantage of having this available to us. Because I think it's an amazing piece of machinery, I really do. And there's the counterweight swinging out. I'm going to need the help menu on this one. I use it so infrequently that I can't remember half the controls. So I need to change control group for pipe, do I? Nope, I've got control of the pipe. There we go. And the truck is not far forward enough. I need to move that. Hopefully that will do. There we go. We are loading. I love this piece of machinery. It's just such a cool thing. Oh, you can see we are missing. Do I need to... Ah, yes, there we go. Need to lower the header as well. Thought something was a little bit wrong. And you can see just how quickly we are filling up our trailer here. So you can see the beets being loaded up through that central chute that goes underneath the cab, spits out, you know, at the back here onto this second conveyor, which feeds, you know, straight over to our truck. We do have complete control over that arm. So as you can see, I can raise, I can move, I can lower if I want to, and the lowering extends the reach a little bit as well. Like I said, I think this is an amazing piece of machinery. Catching on something. I think it's our guide at the front there. That's designed to help push some of the beets in, I think. Oh, are we full on that trailer? I think we might be. It didn't take long to fill up 70,000 litres. Yeah, we're full. Let's pull the truck forward a bit more. I'm so glad I'm finally getting the chance to use this thing. Like I said, I think it's an amazing, amazing piece of machinery. You just never see it used, though. Nobody ever seems to use it in their videos. I don't know why. You know, I suppose it's kind of a novelty purchase. I mean, ideally, this is something that's more, I think, designed for multiplayer than single player. Or, well, it's designed for single player as well. Obviously, you can see I'm using it, but I think people get more value out of it in multiplayer, where you can have, you know, trucks just parked up waiting, and as soon as one truck is full, that driver pulls off, and the next driver pulls up and brings their truck on board. You definitely kind of get more continuous service out of it that way. Obviously, we're going to have to wait between deliveries before we can continue using this. Just like that, I think we're almost full on this trailer as well. Yeah, there we go. That's it. So we'll turn the engine off. Let's jump back in the cab. Let's cover up our beets and take these off to Valley Grain to be sold. And here we are at Valley Grain. So let's see, just how much will a single trailer be worth? We're at 131,000. See all those beats just pouring out the back there. That's one trailer down, and we got, well, 11,000. So not a huge amount of money per trailer. Oops. Backed up a bit too much there. You can see we've got a price of 159. They are going up elsewhere. But we do have this great demand, so we should get around 11,000 per trailer. So there you can see just over 11,000 as a combined price for, you know, that little tiny tip that we did, and then the full tip for the rest of the trailer. So 131 was our starting total. Let's see just how much this entire grain trailer is going to be worth once it's finished. One other thing I do like about this is that when we do sort of open everything up and fold around, the cab spins around, as you can see, so it can actually watch and control where the arm is going. That's a really nice little touch. Of course, it does mean you have to keep turning your head to look, and you don't get a fully perfect view of the crop that you're driving into, because the chair does partially expose that, but that's a small price to pay. Like I said, it's all about sitting and watching the control, and you can see that the cab, or at least the control section within the cab, pivots and spins as we move the arm as well, which again I think is a really nice little touch. Well, as you can see, we've still got a lot of beats left to shift. We've shifted half of them, but this is trailer number 5 and 6. No, sorry, 9 and 10. Trailer number 9 and 10, and we have 3 minutes before the great demand finishes. So we're not going to be able to sell everything. We're just not going to have the time. As you can see, we've made nearly 100,000. We're on 131,000 when we started. We're up to 220. We've got another 23,000 in these 2 trailers here. I'm not paying attention to where I'm driving. Can't afford the slowdown. Not if I want to get these tipped before the great demand finishes. So our great demand is going to net us around about 120,000. That's pretty much what we're looking at, I think, about 120,000. Maybe a little bit less. That's not bad. I mean, we've still got a lot of beats that we can put into storage as well, so it's not the end of the world. We certainly didn't make anywhere near the kind of money that I was perhaps hoping we would, but given the fact that the price was only 159, I suppose it's not really that surprising that despite each trailer carrying 70,000 litres, you know, we were never going to make a stellar fortune. It is very much a product that you need to sell in massive bulk quantities, especially on hard, if you want to make any kind of serious money. This is why we need all those storage mods, so that we can actually shove quite a lot into storage, save it up, and then just sell when the price is right. I don't think 4 is going to be anywhere near enough storage mods. We're going to need more. And we're going to put in that storage / sale mod as well, which will give us another option when it comes to beats. Hopefully that'll give us some really favourable prices. We'll do that. I'll do that off camera, you know, when I figure out exactly how I'm going to configure everything down there, and whether or not I'm going to switch to the storage version of that mod as well. But there we go, another little chunk there. So we've made what, 100 and, actually I said 120, that's a little generous there. We've made $112,000 there off 10 trailers. That's not too bad. It's not too shabby. And as I say, we do still have probably another 8 to 10 trailers waiting on the field to be put into storage as well. So we're going to call it an episode here. Thanks for watching. I am Jim Bob. We'll be back with some more Big Bud Farm next week, and coming in the next couple of days will be the first in a new series based on Who Dat Who Dare Ranch. I'm still working on a name for that farm, so as I say, if you have suggestions for the name of that Let's Play, give me a shout. Drop me a name suggestion in the comments here, or you can drop me a comment suggestion on my Facebook page. I'll leave the link in the description there for the thread with the naming suggestions. And I will see you all again very soon.